Early in the morning, before the tavern had even opened, two men tried to force others to drink. When they were refused, they beat up the owner and chased him out, telling him to go fetch the police. Then the two, brimming with determination, began drinking with confidence. Soon the police marched into the tavern, guns slung over their shoulders, and ordered the two outsiders to come out with them, preparing to deal with the drunks properly. But an old man appeared and blocked their way. It took only one gunshot. After the target fell, the shooter strode up and then lowered his gun. Everyone around fled, yet the old man smiled and told the owner, "Now go get the order official." After saying that, he went back in and continued drinking. Not long after, the area outside was completely surrounded by order officials. The old man, still unflustered, faced the guns of more than a dozen men and calmly produced a universal warrant because this venerable bounty hunter, Old Jin, was none other than the man in question, and the policeman who had been killed was exactly the most wanted criminal he'd been tracking. The night before yesterday, Old Jin purchased the freed cutter from two young men. Of course, the process was still carried out with a smile as he collected his bounty. If the other party's attitude was off, Old Jin would finish them off on the spot and be on his way. But Old Jin isn't like those other white men who tolerate the status of slaves. So he bought Django, not to make him his slave, but to restore Django's freedom so that, like himself, he could dress well and ride properly. The reason he bought Django was that there were 3 bounty targets that Django knew about, and Old Jin needed him to help identify them so as not to mistakenly target the innocent. After that, Django would not only be free to leave, but also earn a sum of money. The two soon arrived at the assembly point at Thunder's place. Seeing Django on horseback, everyone thought this extraordinary fellow had an unexpectedly high status, since when could an outsider have such standing? But Old Jin wasn't bothered by such talk. He then used business as an excuse to open up the negotiations. Taking advantage of the moment, Django consulted with a female detective about the whereabouts of 3 major criminals. In the past, Django and his wife had both suffered abuse at the hands of 3 brothers. After torturing them, those 3 even sold the couple off to different places. No wonder Django had long harbored a deep grudge against them. After tracking them for several years, Django had the detective notify Old Jin that he'd finally located them. However, the 3 brothers were once again abusing a black man. Following Old Jin's example, Django shot one of them with a single bullet. The other idiot couldn't even hold his weapon properly. Then Django picked up his blade and unleashed a furious flurry of blows until he had no strength left. Finally, he retrieved his handgun, ensuring that not a single shot was wasted. Old Jin then rushed over. Seeing that 2 of the 3 were already dead, he declared that no matter what, he had to personally take out the remaining one. After further discussing the plan with Django, they executed it with precise strategy to guarantee victory. At that moment, the group leader rushed over with his men. The old woman immediately snatched away their weapons, including the kindly presented universal warrant lying on the ground. Although the group was displeased, they said nothing at the time. But when counteraction came, the leader rallied a large force to intervene. No matter the reason, a black man killing people within his own group, this is what is called internal carnage. Old Jin had long anticipated his return, so he had already placed explosives on the carriage. Then, when the mob attacked, one long-range shot instantly overturned the scene. The leader, startled, jumped on his horse and fled. Old Jin handed his gun to Django and let him decide. Django, who had long despised white men, effortlessly sent the fleeing leader packing with a single masterful shot.